So welcome to your Accuplacer prep class at Framingham State. Hopefully you'll be successful on the Accuplacer, and then you can continue into credit-bearing math classes and onto whatever trajectory or path you're going to follow here at Framingham State. Mr. Chaz Alberts and myself, Mark Morbita, will be leading you through this prep course, and I consider this to be unit number 0. And so we're going to tell you a lot about the course. I'll make this succinct and brief, and we'll talk about tips and recommendations as we go. So first, we need to know a little bit more about the Accuplacer. Chaz and I had the pleasure of taking the Accuplacer a few times. We got to experience it. The Accuplacer is only 12 questions. What that means is you really need to get every question right. Every question counts so much because there's so few questions. The test is computer-based, so you'll have some paper to write on, but all of the questions will be on the computer screen. And it's an adaptive test. What that means is, in general, if you get a question correct, the next question will be harder or more difficult. The Accuplacer is a little bit weird, though. It is interesting that you could get 4 or 5 questions right out of 12, and it's possible that you could pass, meaning get above a 70%, or you could get 8 or 9 questions right and not pass. So it really depends which questions you get right. You really want to get the questions correct in the beginning, but also certain questions that are more difficult count for a lot more. So you really, really want to get those correct. So it is an adaptive test that kind of adapts to how well you're doing. There is a calculator built in into the actual test itself on the computer screen. It is a really junky calculator. It's kind of like the Windows calculator that you would go under accessories under the startup bar and use. So it's not the best calculator. If you need to use it, you can, but only on certain problems because it's only available on certain problems. We recommend that between now and the time you take an Accuplacer, you really try to not use a calculator as much as possible because that will help you get better and more proficient in calculations. Remember, a calculator doesn't get better the more you use it, but you get my point. So when taking this computer-based test, this Accuplacer, you really want to take your time, and it seems like the beginning questions count more because since it's an adaptive test, it's going to kind of set you out on a certain path based on the first few questions if you get those correct or not. So those questions really are crucial. And like I said earlier, it really matters which questions you get right. Some questions are more challenging than others. We really need you to persevere through those so that you can be successful on this test. This is a multiple choice test. They don't actually use answer choices A, B, C, and D, but there are always 4 options. And keep in mind, when you're doing the test, just because your answer is one of the answer choices, that doesn't mean that it's the correct one. So you really want to check every answer before you submit and go on to the next one. You want to be really careful and deliberate and thorough so that you can get the best score possible. Because remember, it's only 12 questions. So now we start to get to the structure of your online class. Well, your class is on Blackboard, and all of the information that you will access, all of the units, can be found under Contents. Okay? We have units. Well, you found this as Unit 0, and then you will travel through units 1 through 6. We'll go over evaluating and some basic skills. Just to be clear, this is the longest video by far. We recommend you take a break, maybe do that over 2 days, or take an hour or 2 break and then work on the second half of that. So then we have each of these topics, and these are the 6 most important topics that Mr. Alberts and I have kind of broken the Accuplacer into. So they're all important, and it's really important for you to go in sequential order. Every lesson begins with a pretest. Take that first. Then watch the video lesson. It'll look just kind of like this video, except there will be a lot more writing and math. Then you'll do the practice. Make sure you print the practice, you actually write on it. Or actually, if you want to simulate the Accuplacer a little bit better, you could pull up the practice on a screen and then do scratch work on, let's say, white paper so that you can get your answers. And then you can scroll down to the bottom of the practice and there will be an answer key so that you can check your work and really make sure that you're getting everything correct. If you got something wrong, go back, look at the work, check it, fix your misunderstanding. You really also, another thing, I need to go back to this because it's so important. You're going to be watching video lessons. Be sure to pause, rewind, and even rewatch as necessary. There might be one unit that you get, it's super easy, no problem. But there might be another unit that you really need to spend some time on it. So make sure that you watch that unit's video twice. Maybe what you can do too, since in these videos we're going to be going through a bunch of important, like crucial examples, what we recommend, really strongly recommend, is you actually pause the video and see if you can answer the question. Then fast forward it, see if you got it right, or watch me talking you through it if you didn't get it right, and then rewind it back to the beginning of that problem and try and do it again. Repetition is key. You don't learn how to be, you don't learn how to throw a curveball by watching someone else throw a curveball. You learn how to throw a curveball by getting on the mound and throwing hundreds of thousands of pitches. Okay, so what we mean is you really need to redo each problem of every unit until you can fully understand them and execute them. Some students think it's weird that we're asking you to redo something multiple times, but if, let's say, you do the practice one day and you get most of it right, you get a couple problems wrong, you fix those problems, you feel like you understand it. The next day, do those same problems again, blank slate, start with a clean piece of paper, and see to it that you're getting the problems correct that you got wrong before. Okay? This is really like studying is an iterative process. And then finally, once you're done with the practice and you feel totally ready, almost like to take a simulating, to simulate the Accuplacer, you'll then take your post-test and, we're hoping to see growth from your pre-test to your post-test. And make sure you check every answer before you submit it. Don't just click on things because your answer is there. Take the time to verify and check that your answers are correct. So now let's talk about some important questions. What score is passing? Well, like I said, you could get a 5 out of 12. And even though that fraction would be less than a 50%, you could still pass because certain questions are weighted more. Remember, we said it's an adaptive test. So what score is passing? Well, somehow they calculate your score, and if it's above a 70, then you pass. And if you pass, that means that you can go into college level math. You can start to, fulfill the courses and the credits and the requirements that you need for your particular major. What happens if you fail? If you fail the Accuplacer, you'll have to go into remediation. You'll have to go into a math course. It'll be a semester course that you'll have to pay for, and you won't actually get college credit for it. Instead, you'll have to pay for it and you'll have to be successful in that class so that then you'll be ready for college level math. So if you think about it, and I'm kind of trying to put the pressure on here a little bit. If you are unsuccessful on the Accuplacer, you're going to have to spend over $1,000 on a course. You're going to have to go to that course 3 hours a week for 16 weeks, and you're going to have to learn the math at a deeper level to get you to where you need to be to take college level courses. So what our goal is for you to pass. We want you to start fulfilling your major and getting to where you want to be. So if you really work hard and take our advice and the practice to heart, you should be successful on the Accuplacer. How should you approach this online prep class? Well, you should think of this. You need to remind yourself when you're spending, a few hours, so you're going to spend a few hours practicing, you need to remind yourself that you're going to save yourself over $1,000 or $2,000 on this remedial level math class that you won't have to take because you're going to pass the AccuPlacer. So that's the incentive, and that is super important. So you need to take this class seriously. You need to take our advice, and remember, repetition is key. Redoing all of the problems. Like, let's say you go through our prep course. Let's say you take 10 days. You do a unit or two a day, and you're constantly doing the practice work. You should also be constantly doing the practice work up until the day before you actually take the AccuPlacer, to keep everything fresh and strong. And remember, repetition is key. You don't need new problems. Do old problems again. That's studying or rehearsal. How should you study this material? Remember, we said pause, rewind, and replay videos. You can pause a video at an example that you maybe watched a couple days ago on Unit 3, let's say, and then you can redo those problems and check and see if you got the correct answer. And if you didn't get the correct answer, rewind it and then watch that portion of the video again. Remember, also, we want you to print out the PDF note sheet that mirrors this video so that you can write and actively take notes. And remember, feel free to pause the video and take detailed notes. You should probably write down more than what we wrote down because you'll have more space on your note sheet. And you need to write yourself helpful hints to be more successful. Where else can you go for extra practice? Well, if you go to Khan Academy, it's .org, khanacademy.org. This is a great website, and at the top of the website, it has a search bar. It says, search here for subjects, practice, and tests, something like that. What you can do is you could search any of the topics that we've talked about, or that we talk about in the upcoming units 1 through 6, and you can type in that topic, and then there will be practice, there will be additional videos, and there's even practice tests where you have to get 5 in a row to kind of graduate from that standard. So we strongly recommend you do that as well. So again, just make sure that you work really hard on this AccuPlacer prep online course. I know Mr. Alberts and I have worked very hard to put this together for you. So just make sure you're taking the necessary time to be successful, and the amount of hard work that you put in will pay off, and you'll get to be in the classes that you want to be in, and you'll get to save some money, and hopefully we're going to help you learn math a little bit better, and that will help you on your college path as well, because we're really talking about some fundamental math abilities that will translate into every other math course that you'll take along your journey at Framingham State. So welcome. We look forward to working with you, and you can continue to Unit 1. Remember, you're going to start with the pre-test, and good luck. Thank you.